just 200 Ghana cedis in your new or existing Access Bank Early Savers account, you could be on your way to winning your share of more than 100,000 Ghana cedis to support their future. So earn points every time you deposit to get early bird membership milestone or savings culture points to help you build up to the ultimate 2,000 points that will qualify you to win the grand prize. Register today at ghana.accessbankplc.com/early savers. Yeah. Or you can dial 2500 to get started. See press on social media for more details. T's and C's apply. Access Bank, more than banking. And the Drive Doctor is here. Dr. Yaw Osafo is CEO of Medical's Hospital. What's up, Doc?
Kwame.
Yes, sir. How are you?
I'm good.
Nice. Good to see you as always.
Yeah, good to see you too.
How's your week been?
Oh, it's been wonderful. So you were capping up with the 1,000 cedis in my account.
Did you? Well, I don't know whether
you're going to be all those who came to the studio will leave with 1,000 cedis.
No, actually, you just have to download first.
I have to download first.
And hope you are fast enough. Yeah. I don't know whether your phone is fast, but yeah.
It's the one that you have to pass your hand over it before it sends. And when you're fast,
As the team at Medica is doing as well.
We're doing great.
So how are things now? I hear that the COVID numbers are going up again. Is there a scare in the hospitals?
Well, no. I think by and large, we've still been in the pandemic mode, if I put it that way. The protocols are still being strictly adhered to in the hospitals, although, yes, admittedly, in the public, I mean, you see that funerals have gone back to the way they used to be out there on the mountains, and people, we have to now be more insistent on people wearing the mask and all of that. But for us as healthcare professionals, we're still doing all the mitigation strategies, the physical distancing, the face mask, sanitizing the hands with alcohol-based rubs. So I think we're okay. In our municipality, we haven't received any reports of an increase in the numbers. It's just been in certain places. Okay. Yeah.
Well, today we've got a very delicate issue from a 43-year-old man who works in Accra that I thought I'd put across to you. Now, he says sometime last year, I realized that I was losing weight, albeit gradually. I'm a little chubby, so I took the weight loss as a blessing. A few months later, when the lockdown and work from home came into effect, I was expecting my weight to go back up, but to my surprise, I noticed I even, had a more rapid decline. Then I noticed my hands will shake most times. Then something more embarrassing happened. I began to move my bowels so many times in a day. Hitherto, I will go in once a day. Now I go 4 to 5 times a day. I must hasten to add that my stools are not watery but soft. I believe something is not quite right with me and I need to see a doctor, but I'm dreading the appointment. Lexis, can the Drive Doctor shed some light before I go and see the doctor?
Right. So good afternoon to all our listeners, and it's good to be here another Wednesday. Just from what you read, just one thing pops up. An overactive thyroid gland.
An overactive thyroid gland.
Yes. So, Kwame, the thyroid gland, a lot of people in Ghana and this country would know about it. It is found on the anterior aspects of your neck. And sometimes when it is diseased, you would see this huge swelling they call a goiter. Projecting in front or on the anterior aspects of your neck. So that gland in its normal state, non-disease state, cannot be seen or cannot be touched. But its location is right beneath the Adam's apple. That's where it's located. So if I look at your neck right now, and if you look at mine, you probably would never see the thyroid gland. You'll not be able to feel it either. But it's there, and it's right below the Adam's apple.
What is it doing there?
Well, it has a number of important functions. It produces a hormone called the thyroid hormone. The thyroid hormone. So we have a lot of hormones in our bodies. The thyroid hormone is a very, very important hormone for us. We call it a metabolic hormone. It is primarily responsible for a lot of uptake and then breakdown processes in the body. We call it metabolism. So uptake would be the catabolism, the formation things, and then the breakdown things. Let me make it simple. So this thyroid hormone is very, very important for a lot of different functions. If you take carbohydrates, metabolism, formation and breakdown, it is important for protein formation and breakdown. It is important for fat formation and breakdown. It's a very small gland. It weighs about 10 to 25 grams, and it is butterfly shaped or an H shape, and it wraps around your windpipe. As I mentioned earlier, in its normal state, you cannot see it, you cannot feel it. But in the disease state, then sometimes it can become very big, what we refer to as a goiter.
A goiter.
Two main forms of diseases happen to the thyroid, or when it is diseased, either it overproduces the thyroid hormone or it underproduces the thyroid hormone. So if it overproduces the thyroid hormone, then Kwame will call it hyperthyroidism. Hyperthyroidism, meaning there is an overproduction of the thyroid hormone. And therefore you begin to see an exaggerated effect of the thyroid hormone. What it usually does, it will now overdo it. There's this song called Ophiuchon. You're overdoing it.
Yeah.
Right. If it underproduces, then you have hypothyroidism. So today, based on what the gentleman sent in to us, I would think that he has what we call hyperthyroidism, an overfunctioning thyroid gland.
Okay.
It is producing too much of the thyroid hormone. And it does produce some very dramatic signs and symptoms. And that's what we're going to spend our time today talking about. It's not a straightforward thing. People will have all these things and they would go round and round and round and round in circles, be seen at different health centers. But if really you know about some of these signs and symptoms, then it's very classic and you just pick it up. So, Kwame, I'm going to go through what the symptoms and the signs are if somebody has an overproduction of the thyroid hormone.
Okay. If you've experienced any of these symptoms as well, or you know about this and you want to have any questions answered, you can send us a WhatsApp message now on 055-1111-997.
Right. So the first, then the manifestations, I must say, depends on the duration and then the severity.
Okay.
So the concentration of the thyroid hormone and it's how long you've had that problem, will determine, how prominent these signs and symptoms are. So, number one, nervousness and a feeling of inner tension. Nervousness. Well, I'm sure you've seen somebody being very fidgety, in the past. Sometimes it happens when we're going to write an exam, especially you're going for an oral exam. Mm-hmm. You're going for an interview. You're going to talk to a girl you like.
Yeah. Why'd you say that undertone? You don't want Augusta to hear.
No, I don't want Philip to hear. I'll call Michaela and ask her, the first time. So that kind of feeling where you are nervous and you want to approach the girl, but you like the thing, but approaching it some way, that is the kind of feeling I'm talking about. So,
Tabby.
Very soon, in a few days, we'll come back to the studio. So nervousness and then a feeling of inattention. So most people are fidgety. They come to the consulting, they put their hands on the table, they take it off the table, put it on their thighs, want to take something out of their pocket, promptly they put it back, and so on and so forth. So they are fidgety. If you realize that you become very fidgety and you have this inner feeling of inner tension, it may be a sign. Poor concentration and reduced performance at work or at school.
Okay.
Number 3, tremors. These are very fine movements. Kwame, when we say tremors, I mean those are, typically that's one of the signs we get to know that people are alcoholics. Their hands shake. So tremors again. So most people would have the tremors, and some people describe it as feeling it in their entire bodies. But it is easier to notice their hands shake. So these are very fine movements of the hands. Some may experience a rapid heartbeat. Very, very rapid heartbeat. So just like you just completed a 100-meter dash, but this time around you are seated in one place and you actually feel your heart beating and it is really, really racing. The muscles become weak and sometimes they shrink, leading to difficulties in walking, climbing, and rising from the squatting position. So I've been treating this young lady 16 years when she first came to me. In the first day, she could barely walk. She had this broad base gait. It was as if she couldn't control her legs when she walked. It just went in all different directions, and it's all because of the muscle weakness. There's an increased breakdown of the muscle protein, and then the muscles also shrink. So somebody's been going to the gym regularly and they've been pushing weights. They become bulky, but when they stop going to the gym, they shrink a bit. That's the same thing that happens when you have an overproduction of this thyroid hormone. Your muscles tend to shrink and then become weak, and you may have difficulties even climbing up a flight of stairs. The other thing is that you experience extreme weight loss. Most people who would eventually come to my clinic, the endocrine clinic, they always come with an HIV test. Because of the extreme weight loss, most people think this person has this disease, HIV, and most of the time it's people in the reproductive age group as well. So the weight loss can be very, very extreme. But Kwame, these people also at the same time have very, very good appetite. They have insatiable appetite. So I remember there's this advert on TV, one of these blood tonics. I say, oh, who did you know from? It's exactly always this disease comes to mind when I see that advert on TV. Who did you know from? Here you are having this great appetite for food. You're eating like 3-4 balls of kenke, and yet you are progressively losing weight. So I think the young man who sent us the message said, well, he lost a bit of weight. Yeah. But he expected that because of the lockdown, the stay at home, he was going to put the weight back on. But then the decline became more rapid. So weight loss, extreme weight loss, despite an increase in the appetite. Another thing that happened that I think he mentioned, it is something we call hyperdefecation. Hyperdefecation. We don't use the word diarrhea because the stools are usually normal or at worst soft. So diarrhea would imply a change in the consistency, it becomes watery or mucoid. But this one, they will tell you that most of the time their stools are normal, but then they would go once or twice a day. That's their normal bowel habits. Then all of a sudden they are doing 5-6 times a day. Anytime they eat, they have to go, and it is all because of the effect of the thyroid hormone on the motility of the intestines. So your intestines move. And that's why sometimes you hear all the noise your stomach makes. Right. So it's the movement. And if the movement becomes very fast, then the transit time is short. So the food just goes in and then it's coming out. So you move your bowels, the stools are normal or they're soft. And you're doing it many times in a day. And that's what we call the hyperdefecation. There's also some eye signs, unique eye signs. There's a retraction of the upper eyelid that sometimes gives the patient a wide-eyed stare. So you look at them and then it's like as if they've seen a ghost. They're staring at you, and you go like, "But why are you staring?" "No, I'm not staring." "So you're staring." "No, I'm not." And this is just simply because of the retraction of the upper eyelid. Kwame, their skin is usually moist and warm. Because of all the increased consumption of oxygen, and oxygen is a very important fuel or important thing you need for a lot of the metabolism. So you end up generating a lot of heat. So they feel warm all the time as if they have a low-grade fever. And then they're sweating, so their skin is always moist. Then they also have what we call heat intolerance. So when we can put them in this studio And then they will unbutton their shirts and then they will ask for a fan. Oh, can't you guys turn on the fan? In addition to this AC, you want us to turn on the fan? Yes. So that is what we call heat intolerance. They do it badly. So they always have to be in a very, very, very cold environment. There are also some signs that we see in the fingernails. There's a retraction of the nail from the bed. And this indicates usually a long-term or a long-standing hyperthyroid state. So sometimes we look at the fingernails and we're able to tell. And women, and most of the patients that we see are women with hyperthyroidism are women. We're not quite sure why, but most are women. In women in the reproductive age group, it alters their menstrual cycle. It either makes it very, very short, their menstrual period. So either they'll 5 days, bleed for 5 days or 6 days. Now 1 day, then it stops, or not at all. So they experience very, very short menses or not at all, and they develop fertility problems. So a woman with very, very short periods and with fertility problems, it may be that she has hyperthyroidism. And lastly, the thyroid gland, which is found on the anterior aspects of the neck, just below the Adam's apple, it's usually enlarged. So if you look at it, you'd find this bulge protruding, in that area of the neck.
Okay.
They will tell you that there's something there.
Yeah.
So Kwame, it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of symptoms. These are a combination. We put all of them together. We don't just take one. It's almost impossible to just have one. But you would have a combination, of 4, 5.
Yeah.
If you really probe.
Yeah.
They also have insomnia, difficulty in sleeping.
Okay.
So they stay up all night. They can't sleep. They're almost restless. So I just want people to think about this hormone. When we say a metabolic hormone, it's like you are burning something. You're burning some fuel. You keep going. The engine is on throughout. So you can't sleep.
Okay.
You are always in this hyperactive state.
I was thinking that probably if the thyroid is enlarged is the only way you would get to know that you've got it. But are there other ways that apart from these symptoms, how do you investigate these? Right.
So your doctor having taken this history and then will do the examinations. During the examination, that will pick up on a lot of these things. But I mean, when you are hyperthyroid, you tend to develop diabetes. So your blood glucose level, for example, tends to go high into the diabetic range, or you develop something we call impaired fasting glucose. You're not normal, you're not diabetic, you're in between. So your doctor may ask you to do what we call a fasting glucose test, where we look at your glucose profile. Again, your blood pressure. Most people develop what we call secondary hypertension. Not the, for want of a better word, regular hypertension that we know, but then what we call secondary hypertension. It is because of the effect of the thyroid hormone, your blood pressure tends to go up. Because the effect it has on the heart is beating more forcefully and pushing a lot more blood, so the blood pressure goes up. So just by taking your blood pressure, checking your blood glucose, we begin to get the body of evidence to support the diagnosis. Then the doctor can take a blood sample or request for a blood sample for what we call a hormone profile, a thyroid function test. These days, quite a number of laboratories exist that can perform this test, and perform it very well. So it's a blood test that is taken. You don't need to fast or anything. When you get in, a sample can be taken for what we call a thyroid function test.
Okay.
And it is usually very, very clear.
Okay.
While there's the goiter too, we have to think about other possibilities. Anything that is a swelling or a growth, it can be a tumor or a cancer. So the doctor sometimes may ask for you to do what we call a thyroid scan, which is an ultrasound scan, amongst other things. You do a full blood count, for example, where we want to look at certain blood indices as well. But these are all routine, I'd call them routine things right now. I mean, if you are in certain parts of the country, Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Mampong, Takrade, and all these are things that we expect for you to be able to get done. So the diagnosis is not that difficult.
Okay. Is it curable though?
Well, yes. But it's one of those things where patience is a virtue. You've got to be really, really patient to be able to go through the therapy. It's a combination of both drug therapy and then sometimes surgical therapy or surgical intervention.
Is that to remove the thyroid, the swelling?
Exactly. So you've got the goiter, and once the thyroid is big, of course, if it was a certain size, 15 grams, and it could produce X amount of the thyroid, then if it is now 100 grams, then it will produce Y amount more.
Okay.
So the point of the surgery is to remove parts of the thyroid gland or the entire thyroid gland, depending on the situation.
Okay.
But before the surgery is done, the surgeons would require for the physicians to try and bring the thyroid hormone levels down to the normal range. We will say you have to be rendered euthyroid before they can have the surgery. Otherwise, then the surgery becomes very complicated.
If you have any questions, you can send us a WhatsApp message right now, 055 1111997. 055 1111997. Kofi Intema sent a message. Please ask Dr. Lexis. My hands started shaking since I was a child, and it shakes even though I don't drink. What could be the reason, since he mentioned about hand shaking?
Right. So when we talk about tremors, there are so many different causes of tremors. I think I alluded to the drink bit, but he mentioned that yes, he doesn't drink. There are a lot of nerve or muscle and nerve conditions that would cause one to shake. He mentions a very important factor in there, that he's had this thing since childhood. It will be I don't think it's a thyroid problem. It will be important for him to get in touch with a neurophysician to probably evaluate it. Some people have got these naturally occurring tremors that occur. There used to be a goalkeeper for Manchester United, and then later on Everton, United States as well, Tim Howard. He always had these tics and jerky movements involving the neck muscles and all of that. So people can have, there could be other nerve-related conditions. So again, I would mention that it is not just one particular symptom that you must have. If it's a thyroid thing, then you would get a lot of these different things together. So Kofi can get in touch with me, and then I'll see if I can put him in touch with a neurophysician.
Well, how does he get in touch with you? I know a lot of people have questions that they would want to ask. So how do they get in touch with you? Right.
The phone number is 0501 477 340. 0501 477 340.
There you go. You can speak to Dr. Osafo. Elon was actually asking how he could get in touch with you. So I'm sure you have the number now. You can call up and Doctor will be able to speak to you, and you can book an appointment as well. And head to Medicas Hospital. That's in Medina Firestone behind the SG Bank, and in Kiapim Mampong.
Yes.
It's just about 20 minutes drive from Ayimensa. I mean, it's a lovely place. You'd want to drive up there probably this weekend, book an appointment, and see Dr. Yaw Osafo. He's the CEO of Medicas Hospital. Doc, thank you so much. Great spending time with you, and thanks for the education as well.
Sure.
Coming up very shortly, the latest updates in news. Remember, our drive chat probably brought to you by